Hey guys, it's Kennedy, and for today's video, I'm doing another foundation review. I know it's back to back with my Fenty one. However, this one will not be a fail video because I know that this foundation actually works for me. I've worn it a couple times and I really like it. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about it. Let's just jump right in. So the foundation we're going to be talking about today is the Sephora Make No Mistake Foundation and Concealer Stick. This guy retails for $25 Canadian or $20 American, and you get 0.41 ounces or 11.6 grams of product in here, which is good, especially when you compare it to something like the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Finish foundation stick. I don't actually have that foundation stick, but that guy is $56 Canadian and you get 0.25 ounces. So for less than half the price, you get more product in this one. So obviously they're going to be different, and I can't compare the two because I haven't tried the Hourglass one, but just as like a product comparison. So this foundation comes in 16 different shades. I, of course, have the lightest shade, 01 Driftwood, and this is just what it looks like here. It has nice, simple packaging. It does like feel a little cheaper. I mean, $25 at Sephora is more affordable than a lot of other things. But yeah, it's nice, but it feels like kind of cheap. But I'm not too bothered by that. I'm just gonna wind it up. This is what we're looking at here, product-wise. I like when people do this in their videos, so I just wanna show y'all how much you get, and I barely used any of it. So yeah, I lost my train of thought. Just before I get into applying it, the claims for this is that it is a medium to full coverage foundation and concealer stick with a natural matte finish. It says this 2-in-1 multitasker can be used as both foundation and concealer. The creamy formula does not settle into fine lines and wrinkles, and the stick format is perfect for easy on-the-go application. I definitely like stick foundations for that reason, because if I'm using a liquid foundation, I still put it on the back of my hand instead of using like a palette, because I'm just lazy and then I don't want to have to clean the palette. So I just like to put it on my hand. Whereas a stick foundation, I just slap it on, blend it out, and we're good to go. So yeah, let's just get into applying this. It says that it's good for any skin type. I should preface that my skin is combination, but it does lean quite dry. So that's an issue that I had, especially with the Fenty foundation. I just found that my skin was too dry and it just didn't work nicely with the foundation. But this one here, I have tried out a couple times and I do like it. So I'm excited to show you guys. And before I get into applying this, I am going to just put a little bit of color corrector under my eyes to help with the eye bags. So don't mind the little orange rings that you're gonna see in a second. I'm also just gonna pull my hair back because I don't wanna deal with my hair trying to get in the way of me applying this foundation. So we're good to go. I am just going to apply a few stripes on my face, you guys will see. And to blend out the product, I do like using my Morphe M439 brush. As well as my like NYX Beauty Sponge, but I find that it just blends out nicer using the brush on my skin, so we're gonna do that. This too, I feel like it does set fairly quickly, so I like to work in sections on my face just to make sure that it doesn't start to dry on my forehead while I'm still blending it out on my cheeks, and then I have to deal with that mess later. So I do like to do it in sections, and of course I have washed, moisturized, and primed my skin, and I do use like an oil before like putting on my makeup and stuff because I want to help with the dryness in my skin. So if I look really shiny, that's why. I'm just gonna start with my cheeks and then I'll work on the rest of my face. I know I said sections, but this is what I count as sections. So this foundation, I find you do have to like use a bit of pressure at least to blend it out, but I really like the finish that it gives. See how well it covers up the two face demons I have. That's a scar and then whatever, but like got new zits that came in yesterday because they knew I'd be filming this today, so thanks a lot, skin. Should have done a side-by-side comparison so you guys can see, but this is just with like the 3 stripes blended out, and it looks a little bit better, like the skin tone's a little bit more even. I love this brush so much. I hadn't used it for a long time because I am very much a fan of just like beauty sponges because I want that dewier kind of look. So I like using a damp sponge because it just helps with that. And it's fun to use, but I fell back into using this brush and now there's no looking back. I really like it. So hopefully you guys can see that just with like the 3 stripes of foundation that it is helping to even out the redness and stuff on my cheeks. I have not applied it to like my T-zone whatsoever, so it's just on my cheeks basically. It does feel a little sticky, so it could have something to do with like the oil that I have underneath, but regardless, this is a foundation that I do like to set. I set all of my foundations, but I know there's some people that don't like to, especially if they have dry skin, they don't feel like they need to. Personal preference, if you guys try this, it's totally your call, but for me, I just like setting all of my foundations with a little bit of powder. Usually I'll just use my Laura Mercier translucent loose setting powder, or I have like a NYX no filter setting powder, which is really nice, so I'll use one of those later, but I'm just gonna keep applying the foundation. So this is what my skin looks like after 1 layer of foundation. Obviously it's a little bit tougher to tell exactly how much product I've used if you compare it to something like a liquid foundation where you'd have 1 pump of product on your face. This is me doing like 3 stripes on my cheeks, a couple on my forehead, and then like a couple on the rest of my face. So just take that with a grain of salt, but this is definitely a nice light to medium coverage. I do like the coverage that it gives. And again, I'm super pale, so everything looks really ghostly on me, but I promise you that this foundation matches me like perfectly, especially when I have the rest of my makeup on. It definitely just looks like it's me, like the pale ghost. It just matches me perfectly. This foundation is buildable as well, so I am gonna go in with a little more just on my cheeks here where it's a little bit red, and then just kind of like my forehead, just a little bit. And I'll show you guys that you can get a bit more coverage with this. This is nowhere near a full coverage foundation. It doesn't claim to be, and it does look like it is dewy. I think that does have something to do with the oil that I put on underneath, but I like my skin to feel hydrated, so I don't really want this to be a matte foundation anyway, so I'm not bothered by that. But if you are hoping for a matte foundation, I have not tested this out without using an oil underneath. So I can imagine the way that it pulls and kind of drags, that it would settle down to like a matte foundation if you primed your skin right. But yeah, for me, it's like a dewy, more natural kind of finish, and I love that because I don't want to look dry. Like my skin's already dry, I don't want to look too matte and dry. So I've been rambling, let's just build up the foundation. So this is what the foundation looks like after I've built it up a little more on my cheeks and on my forehead, and I really like how it looks. Obviously I look a little funny right now because I'm only wearing foundation, so I am gonna finish up the rest of my makeup, just some concealer and like mascara and stuff, nothing crazy. But I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like. So it still looks nice and like dewy and kind of natural. I will put a little bit of powder over top just to kind of set it and make sure it doesn't move around. But I just want to report too that this foundation doesn't sit weird on any like dry patches that I have. I did make sure to exfoliate and moisturize and prime properly and everything like that. But I do have like the 2 healing spots here just from yesterday, and normally if I put like a different foundation on top, it might cling really weird to that, but this one does not. If it did do that, like I would just go over with like my damp sponge, and I like doing this anyways, just to like triple check that everything's blended. But this foundation blends out really nice if your skin's prepped properly, and yeah, it just feels really great. So I'm just really in a weird rambling mood today. I'm gonna go put the rest of my face on. I'll be back. So I'm back to give you guys my final thoughts on this foundation. Overall, I really like this. The price point is good at $25. You get a good amount of product. I don't find myself using too much of it, so I'm not gonna go through it too quickly, but it is buildable as well, so I can build it up, but you know, I don't feel like I have to use too much of it. It's a nice light to medium coverage, so it's good for kind of everyday wear. I really like the coverage that it gives because as of lately, I've just been ditching my like full face of makeup for a more natural kind of look. This is my natural look. The sun is playing games with me, that's fine. But yeah, I really love this foundation. I feel like the color match is really good as well for my pale, ghostly skin. I like it. It is the lightest shade, but I'm glad that it matches so well. And it works really nicely with other products on top after I've set it with powder. It does still feel a little tacky though. I don't think that I can really chalk that up to the oil underneath, like the facial oil that I use, because when I use that facial oil with like other foundations and things like that, my face doesn't really feel tacky. So I think it has something to do with the foundation. I'm not complaining, it's not like actually sticky, but it just feels a little tacky. So if you're someone that like rests your face on your hand, you might notice it, but otherwise we're good. I feel like this is definitely not a long wear foundation based off of my past experience with it, but it is a nice everyday kind of foundation. It'll get you through like your work day or your school day, and it doesn't like break apart really gross, especially not on my skin. It might be different if you're oily, but for my dry skin, like it doesn't break apart or anything like that. It wears really nicely. It doesn't settle too much into my creases here, which is good, but everything settles because where else is the makeup gonna go? I'm rambling, my camera battery is dying, so I just want to finish wrapping this up. But that's it for my video today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye! So I've already washed, moisturized, and primed my skin, as well as gone in with a color corrector, hence the little orange rings here. Now we're gonna go in with the Pro Filter Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. This retails for $42 Canadian or $34 American.